Good evening and welcome to another episode of The Reload. In fact, it's our last episode of The Reload because OCN is over. If you're laughing with us, it's because Zenox is just flying around with his hands, not sure what to do. But look, I'm sure everybody's familiar with these clowns.
I'm going to put them on my armrest.
I'm glad to know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, we are all here tonight for this episode. Guzz, Manic, Zenox. How are you guys all feeling tonight with OCN all wrapped up?
No one.
Why? I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it.
2 seconds, Raven. Now, obviously, as you would have been aware, over the last couple of days, I improved my hosting skills.
Here we go.
Day 3 of the playoffs had a lovely expert panel of the 5 of us, and well, when you're hosting a show, right?
Here we
and
go.
you want to throw it, try and direct it to someone. So in the case, it would be Guzz.
Oh dear.
What did you make of the OCN playoffs?
Look, actually, Zenox, I just want to let you know. I'm not letting you get away with this. I actually thought I was working with experts and they would be able to respond to something I said.
Oh! Well, that was your first mistake, Raven. That was your very first mistake.
Oh dear. Anyway, hey Manic, how did you enjoy OCN playoffs?
Oh, it was great, mate. To be honest, again, it was the ending that we would have expected with the dominant form that Wildcard were in, but at the same time, there were some pretty spicy matchups. LFO obviously having a couple of good games that I think they ended up coming 4th overall. Akami had some great games until the second match of the lower bracket semi-final, and then they got dumpstered. So yeah, no, it was good though. It was entertaining the whole way through.
Beautiful. Any of you guys want to jump in, or have to say your name, or what?
I only respond to names.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
There's a reason as well, right? Because we are number 1 and number 2
exactly
on the predictions. So
you should be answering to us, really. And how did you enjoy the playoffs, Raven? Did you enjoy them?
Yeah, look, I had a lot of fun. They were great. And like Manic said, Wildcard, the very expected victors, came out on top in a strong result. What about you guys? I would really love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, they were pretty good. I pretty much echo what you boys have said. We expected WILDCARD to win. They did. Outside of that, though, there were some pretty exciting games, some highlight games, if you would. LFO's run, personally, was probably one that I enjoyed tracking. And even the Knights to make it to the grand final in the first place was a really fair effort from them too. So keen to see what the future holds and what the major holds as well.
Well, since I'm lucky last, I'll just say that I was a little bit disappointed we weren't able to see WILDCARD drop a map or have any sort of a close affair. As great as they've been, you know, it's always nice to see a close finish, but hey, that's a full credit to them. They've been the best team for quite a few months now in the region, obviously, and especially since the departure of Fnatic. And it certainly would be an interesting little duel if those two teams were to play now, but obviously it's all hypotheticals. But yeah, big congratulations to WILDCARD. They were the best and they've been the best, and hopefully for their sake, I guess they can continue to be the best.
Yeah, look, I'm sure that's what they are hoping so as well. So look, to talk about the show tonight, we do have a giveaway running, which I can already see us spamming, or not spamming, but putting the command in chat. Make sure you do so you know what the keyword is that you need to type. That will be drawn at the end of the show.
What is the keyword?
It is hashtag OCN. So get amongst the hashtag OCN. It's something that you should definitely be remembering for the future, because we will not let that die. But look, we're going to have Vinnie on as a guest quite soon, and I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of cool insight about his performance and the team's performance at playoffs and all that kind of cool stuff. But before we do bring Vinnie in on the show, do have a quick clip that is the winning moment from Vinnie's perspective on the Oceanic Nationals playoffs grand final. So we'll be back on the other side of this video.
10 seconds left.
Flush your kitchen. Flush your kitchen. Sorry.
Judge dead. I'm down.
One round. Plant cut up. Plant cut up.
Rack.
Halfway.
Let's go! Let's go! Give me that! Oh, Vinnie! Oh my god, Vinnie is sexy. You are
Zenox is trying to ruin everything tonight. But Vinnie, welcome to the show, man. It's great to have you on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Maybe for those that are potentially somehow unfamiliar with who you are, just give yourself a bit of a quick intro, and I'll fix your camera.
Okay, yeah. My name's Vincent Danielle, and I play for WILDCARD Gaming under the in-game name VINCERE. And yeah, this was my first season with the team, and really happy with the way it went.
Nice.
Oh no, you lost him. Oh, he's back. Okay.
No, he's
back. I'll go back to you, Raven. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where
I was like,
right
I thought you had something else to say. I thought you had something else to say. Fire out, Zenox. You're on fire tonight, man. Look, you had a great performance yourself, actually, Vinnie, throughout the whole playoffs, but particularly in the grand final. So I definitely encourage people to have a suss of those games, but maybe give us some insight, just the general vibe throughout the games for you guys. You didn't drop a map like we said. I think it's always cool to hear just how the team's feelings were going through those games.
Yeah, so for most of the games, like it did really feel like we were in control for most of the maps. There was a few times when we lost it a little bit, but not to take anything away from Knights especially, who played a really good series at the end, and like adapted really well to what we were throwing at them. But yeah, like throughout the whole playoffs, not so much during the season. During the season there were a few I don't know, scary games. But during the playoffs, yeah, it definitely felt in control. Even at times when we went on little losing streaks in terms of rounds, we always knew how to bring it back. And I think one of the biggest strengths of this team so far since I've been on it has just been the ability to kind of mentally reset and get everybody back on track. Yeah.
I think I'm going to kind of jump in here with a very quick question for you, because you just mentioned that your season as a whole, you know, the regular season, you had a couple of close matches. And again, once we hit playoffs, once we hit that best of 3 format, best of 5 format, it was just all guns blazing and a completely different performance than some of the games. I will say some, because you guys still had some really dominant performances. I think with Knights was one of them, a 7-2 victory. So you kind of breezed through that one. Play day 5 it would have been. What are your thoughts surrounding like why potentially you had those closer matches against, you know, Rhythm and the likes of even LFO to an extent, but like what is it that's What is it that's changed from, you know, the best of one season to the best of three playoffs? Is it just the best of threes?
Not necessarily. I think the format is a big deal. You know, when you're prepping for teams and prepping for us, they only have to really worry about 1 or 2 maps. Whereas in a BO3, your map pool has to be much bigger. And I think it showed with a few of the different teams that they were very prepped for what we're going to throw at them. Especially when you're doing kind of like 2 play days a week, and you know, like we might be playing the same map twice in 1 week. And I think that showed. A few times that we played the same map twice, the second game always came out a lot closer than the first.
I'll jump in next then before White Snoop Dogg over there gets in for a question. Look at the way he's dressed. I just noticed. Anyway, the hard-hitting question here, Vinny, is what have you brought to this roster that has continued to make it successful here in Oceanic National?
I think just like the pretty seamless role swap between what I was doing with Noble and what Ethan used to do for the team. On defense it was a bit different. I wasn't used to roaming. I was very much an anchor player on Noble, but in terms of kind of his role in the team in being very vocal and you know, being very aggressive and kind of getting rounds moving forwards when there's stalling points. I think I just allowed the attacks and to move forward as much as possible when there's stalls, and on defense to just look for opening picks. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to sort of rate your season, how good do you think it has been? How much room is there for you to grow? How many more gears, I guess, do you have that you can find? Obviously, you have the major coming up and then SI potentially after that. So how much room for growth do you think you have within the team?
I think there's still heaps of growth. I think during the season, it was pretty evident that there was some teething issues, especially early on, just for me individually. And honestly, I feel like the playoffs was really where we were starting to show the patches of what's really possible in terms of just the dominance over rounds. When we feel in control and we know, and we've like accounted for a lot that's happened, I think we're just pretty hard to contain.
Yeah, look, tend to agree with you there, and it's good you circle back to playoffs, because I think it's time we start to break down the playoffs. So what better way to do so than to show you guys some highlights from day 1. We'll be back afterwards to talk about how it all panned out. Going to try and obtain further map control. Joker's in the window. He's just going to quick peek it. Ignores Fisher guy completely. Not sure what the play, but if we start looking for Planter, it's not this site. He does see the tail end.
Utmost caution here. Milo pre-firing the angle, and what can he get done? Oh, absolutely nothing. Milo deleting left, right, and center.
On this clash.
Oh, Nico! Can't get more done than the one, but they're still fighting here, Noble. They're still trying to make it work.
Too late. Elevate's just all in front of him now, and there's just too many to deal with. Does spot one from behind. That gets him low. Digital Fast Worthy also low. Won't take much to get them down.
It's a double, holding a very key location. 30 seconds left, 3-on-3.
Nate has been big as well. And that's going to give Mims every chance in the world to get this ace that will be done. He's eliminated. And Elevator just cleaning up. They're just winning all of the frags right now. Hotshot's going to get the diffuser down. Nasty's down on the floor. Mims just trying to do Mims sort of things. And that C4 is successfully.
They'll be able to try and trade this out. If Diesel can find a free pick here, it could be winnable, but unfortunately, Emo is dropped in the process, so it's a 1-on-2.
There's 5, Imarin and Geo. Geo's gone. It's Becker. He's got 3. Imarin gets 1 and he'll get a second as well into the unsuspected.
Geo's flanking up the stairs though. This could be huge. Manages to fight the post. Casting that.
All right. Well, I'm just going to make sure all the viewers know that Zenox was basically saying that he plays exactly like a lot of those highlights. In particular, he said his crosshair placement was the same as Imarin's.
So. For about a minute, they were just laughing and thinking of a way to embarrass me, okay? So just vote them off.
That's not how it works.
Jesus.
All right, cool. Playoff day one, in fact, was quite the banger, to be honest. We had a couple of really good games. Akami, LFO, and Noble. While it didn't go to 3 maps, they were still pretty close, and Akami really started to show some of their strength in this first matchup.
Well, look, it's playoffs, and when it comes to playoff time, we know what happens to that Noble roster, don't we? It's happened again.
Do you want to bring up the meme? The meme that you made?
I posted that on Twitter. It's there forever. To be fair, Akami ended the regular season in good form. I think we've got to remember that, right? So they did start off a little bit slow, got going towards the end, and they just really picked it back up at the right time. And Akami's a team that made the grand final in 6 Masters. Like, they're a really, really good roster. And I think for Noble, it was just unfortunate that they met them in that particular early round. I think Noble might have been able to beat either Elevate or LFO. And it's a big story behind that. We'll get to it probably when we speak about LFA versus LFO. But yeah, look, ultimately, I think Noble just ran up against a really hot team and unfortunately just couldn't get it done in playoffs again, which is becoming a trend. And I want to ask Vinnie, why do you think this is?
Honestly, just experience. I think really, it's just getting to those positions. You need to be able to work your way through these playoff brackets and get more experience. If you're gonna get first rounded, then you kind of like lose that ability to really work your way through these high pressure situations. And honestly, like it's really hard to figure out what's going wrong. I honestly thought it was going to be a lot closer. It seems like they have all of the right tools, just haven't got quite the direction at the moment. But I'm sure they'll come back stronger.
Yeah, I think I'm happy to kind of shift on from that because I do think that like Noble's performance on the back end of the season really, I think that sums it up. Honestly, I think that sums up both teams' season. Noble starting out strong, downward spiral. Akami starting out in a fashion that honestly really concerned me. I thought we might be seeing them in that bottom 2 spot at one point, but the fact that it kind of went 2-0, regardless of how close it was, which it still was close, you definitely can't take away anything from Noble in terms of like the map to map, but in the entire series it did look like Akami were pretty strong throughout. But I think that, I don't know, man, I'm going to throw to Guzz here with this Elevate and LFO match because I have been repping LFO in the playoffs and I was very keen to see what was going to happen in this matchup, but it delivered, brother.
Yeah, of course. It was the first match that Zenox and I did for the playoffs, so it was a bit of a nice warm-up, I guess, for what was to come. And I mean, maybe it was arguably one of the best games in the playoffs, potentially, in terms of just how close it was. There was a 7-5, 7-5, 7-5. Doesn't get really much closer than that. And LFO in the playoffs just looked like a completely different team. And one player in particular to talk about would be Mims, right?
Yeah.
He had a banging season in 6 Masters, his debut season. Came into Oceanic Nationals, and by the end of it, he was basically, or if not the lowest rated player on the team. So don't know what the hell happened during the regular season, but something wasn't clicking. And then in the playoffs, particularly in this Elevate game and even onwards there against PK, for example, and then whoever they played after that, Okami as well. He was insane, just winning so many ones, clutching so many rounds as well, and teams were really struggling to sort of tame him. So it was a lot of fun to watch, and unfortunate for Elevate, just a rough season, had a rough conclusion in the end, really.
They were hiding him, you could say.
Look, it felt like it. I don't know. Maybe the man was just playing one-handed for the first part of the season because he wanted to give others a chance. I don't know, but he really he looked almost like a different player to the regular season, at least in the playoffs. But he looked like the Mims that we got used to in 6 Masters. So wherever that was during regular season, we don't know. But what a time to show up was playoffs. And look, I think you ended that off with the other story to this is Elevate having bit of a tragic end of the season. They were pretty inconsistent most of the season, right? Like they had some good results and then they had some terrible losses. Wildcard in particular gave them quite the spanking on Consulate. And I just think they never really were able to get into some kind of a pattern that resembled positive consistency. So I don't know. It was definitely a shame to see them bow out like this, but LFO, yeah, look, I think the story out of them as well, the fact that they barely got to playoffs in the first place and then winning this match was just huge for them.
can I just put to the table here, and it's actually pretty serious little discussion here, but in Digital's interview, he labeled that planning for LFO and their wacky play style is what cost them essentially. That they play quite differently to a lot of the other teams, less structured. And is that an excuse? Is that valid? I mean, maybe Vinny's the one that we can pose that.
I was gonna say, don't put that to the table. Put it to Vinny.
You've played against LFO. You've played against obviously all these teams. Do they seriously play that different to a lot of the other teams that maybe a team like Elevate, who's around their level, would just struggle more against them?
No. I think Digital's comments were, kind of justified in that, they are pretty unstructured, or they tend to rely on their aggression more than anything, but I feel like it's a huge cop-out by them. I think if they're not adapting on the fly, they shouldn't even consider themselves a top team. And honestly, I don't know. I feel like LFO played a great series, and if going to use their lack of structure as an excuse, then I just think there's enough validation in that, honestly.
Well, he did make the quote as well that they're going to prepare for LFO next season, whenever that is. And I think I just find that a little bit strange, all things considered, when in my eyes I'd be preparing to say, beat your team, Vin.
I don't know. It's so hard to
yes.
Let me pose a different question to you then, Vinny. Actually, LFO is the only team you guys didn't get to play in the playoffs bracket.
Yeah.
How do you feel like you guys would have gone against them? I know you're probably going to say you would have won anyway, but do you feel like that they potentially might have been able to challenge you harder than some of the other matches that you had?
I think at the end of the day, Pittsburgh and Akami are still the two kind of second and very much the second and third team. I think LFO are up there in the fact that their playstyle does counter most of ANZ at the moment, because teams are trying to hard counter and prep for everybody, and it is very hard to prep for LFO. But at the same time, I think the biggest strength of this team is the ability to adapt. I think we showed that in the BO1 when we played them right at the start of the season. They threw some really strange things at us and things that we haven't seen before, but it's always just about adapting on the fly.
Just on that, where do you, it's just a good chance to ask you these kind of questions, because we don't get a chance in the interview more than one or two questions with everyone. But where do you put your value in counter-strating versus playing your game and focusing on what you can do as a team?
Yeah, I think it's very low. I think when you counter, hard counter-strating a team, especially for a BO1, I think that's where it's most effective in a BO1, because you're only prepping really for 1 or 2 maps, and yet you're working on hard countering whatever you think they're going to do. But at the same time, if you're scrimming and practicing only very few strats to hard counter a team, then you're not really practicing the right things, and you're much more likely to use the skill of adapting to teams and really focusing on your own game more than anything. I think that's what we've done a lot.
It's a great point. Well, speaking of you guys, the last match of the first day was WILDCARD versus Okami. You did get the 2-0. It was pretty close on map 2 though. That was the 8-7 on Villa, funnily enough. But look, Guzz, Zenox, you guys both casted this. I reckon, I don't know, one of you jump in, give us the lowdown on what you thought of this matchup.
Hey. Look, it was starting to get pretty late in the night, bit of a long day, so I was getting pretty tired. I had to smash down a iced coffee before the last map. I was getting a bit drained, but look, it was one of those matches that felt like a fizzler, at least for the most part. First map in particular was just classic wildcard clubhouse. Check that in as the dub, and then Villa, for the most part, looked very wildcard centric, but then it took a bit of a switch. I can't remember exactly what round it started to turn the tide, but they did so Akami find themselves back into that matchup. It went to overtime, and wildcard, I think it was, held on in the... who held on in the 3-on-5? Was wildcard, right? Then there was the DC, I think. Was it Pat that DC'd, Vinny?
Pat DC'd, yeah.
Yeah. They clutched a 3v5 and managed to hold on to close that map out. So the ending of Villa was really exciting, but again, if you just look at that scoreline, raw 2-0 wildcard, they still haven't dropped a map in a playoff series this year, so it's continuing that dominance.
Yeah. No, seriously, it was I thought it was actually a good little entry test to the playoffs for Wildcard because, I mean, let's be real, that was the grand final matchup from Six Masters. Akami's probably close to, maybe very even leveled with Pittsburgh Knights, and at the end of the day, those are going to be the two main competitors to Wildcard. So I think they would have actually taken a lot out of that series, especially the Villa game, and just a bit of an understanding of what obviously they need to do in the playoffs to get the job done. Play a bit of a best of 3, 2 maps in a row against the same team, a bit of a refresher. It would have just been a good little entree for what was to come. And in the end, after that, it was really easy for Wildcard for the rest of the playoffs. So that was actually Wildcard's toughest test on that Villa map, I think. I mean, there was one game against Knights. There was one game against Knights, but
yeah, like that on the Knights, you know, I won't jump too far into the bracket, obviously, but Vinny, speak to me about this. You've played the Pittsburgh Knights, I think 5 maps now throughout Oceanic Nationals, 1 best of 1 and 2 best of 3. Well, technically a best of 5 in the grand final there. And in nearly every single match against the Knights, you guys seem to dump on them. Like, it is just I say that obviously with a lot of reservation because, you know, I don't think of myself as a very analytical commentator, if you will, but the games against Akami that you've played have still been pretty close. So is there something in particular that is very different between Akami and Pittsburgh Knights that just seem to bring out let's say closer matches?
I guess direction. I think when we play against Knights, they're a team that was renowned for being very aggressive and relying on their aggression. But once you contain that aggression, it becomes very much like a team that is lacking direction. Whereas I think Akami has that experience with 5 players that have played for a very long time under an IGL that has played the game for a long time as well in Specca. So I really do think that it's just the direction. Not to take away what they did on club against us in the final, they had some really good ideas. Not to jump far ahead, as you said, but
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just as experience as a team and having that one level head and that direction during rounds.
Interesting.
Well, yeah. I think we should jump on to day number 2. Raven,
Well,
if you
before we get to day 2, actually,
Ah!
Manic has a little bit of a special
I
segment.
forgot
that came
about
up in the
that.
intro.
Yeah.
The Shieldy boys, Zenox. This one also caught you, and I'm pretty sure nearly every view. Actually,
Yes,
I think it
yes.
caught everyone off guard. Let's
Didn't
be
catch me off
completely
guard.
honest.
No.
Oh, bugger off! You know what? Play the clip so
He
we
had
can roast
no idea.
guns. He had.
It's the potato of the week.
Hope potentially for Akami. They're a long way back though in this map as a whole. Ippy Style is just like literally forcing them out. Josh though! Oh
what?
no, Ippy Style, why did you not check behind the barrels?
Why are we still here? Just to suffer every night.
All right. Look, that was quite an unfortunate outcome for Ippy Style. They didn't have much luck with the clash in the end at all in blue.
Can I just say, sometimes it be like that.
Oh man, why did we let you on again, Zenox? Oh.
It was better than Dev's. It was better than Dev's punt in the
Oh,
in the
God,
GM
yeah,
show.
Maybe that should be potato of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, we missed them.
Well, no. Have you seen Dev play ranked? We could have just got some ranked clips if you want.
I mean, you could have just put a picture of Dev and just called it.
Impromptu dev roast session, you gotta love it. But no, look, that play from Ippy Style, it was not the play, so to speak. And look, it was generally just not a great series for them. That was not day 2 though, so we won't go into it in too much detail right now. But speaking of day 2, maybe you guys would like to see some highlights, because we do have some highlights from day 2. So we'll play those, and we'll be back to talk about it very soon.
Bit of tag damage onto Josh. Gets him close by that opening frag. The last round Did go the way of LFO. There are some flatbacks here though.
That con window, it opens up the opportunity to run out, deny the default plant, but it's going to be so challenging, and
Oh my god.
this is a very big distraction to deal with.
Oh, he's found a second one as well. Talk about
Which has been slightly opened, a couple of the X-Kairos went off, so that's
What we've come to expect in these finals. That'll be a free kill for Hills to begin with. He might be able to find a second here. Jack Daddy on the other side of things. He'll be taking a tap. He start with an incredibly long line here. That's surely aside as well, so he doesn't have the best support. He's going to have to drop the first.
This could be a tough retake for LFO.
Nasty was trying to come up on the flank, but that's big from Hills. Can he get around the corner in time? It's all under the 1v1. Okay, now. User in hand. He spots Nade out. Oh! Opening gives Akami a little bit more of an opportunity. If he's style, he is happy to front. And front he will. Spec LFO. Hills. Oh, no! They line up. Oh, no. We've seen this.
They see him, they know he's still in admin. He's going to have to try and fight for this. And look at that, the retake into study has just been so effective. Here comes the C4, that could end it. It does.
This is... It's not even doable. Not even close. And Gio will just use one of those nades to get rid of. Emorin can just hold the line here, and this will have to come down to Juicy making the play. Emorin swings, and Gio not able to convert them. Wildcard now. They have to be able to deny this. It's Pat to deny the first, but Josh is sticking it. They've got to spray and pray through.
He's clutched many a times before. He hears the plant. He sees it tight from connector. He pushes out and denies, and then he peeks. Yeah, and we've highlighted Wildcard's map pool, and that's the result of that. You know, if... Alright. So solid plays again on day 2. Guzz, Zenox, you guys started off with Knights versus LFO.
we did.
Yep.
How did you find that one? Give us your insight, Zenox. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Give your analysis on that one, I reckon. So you're really analytical,
Look,
aren't you?
Unlike Manic, I am a very analytical caster. Okay.
Yeah.
I do have that in the warehouse. Look, Knights were too good. LFO weren't very good, but it's okay. LFO had a second chance, so they went down to the lower bracket. It was all.
We can
good
see
for
that
them.
on screen, mate. You don't have to tell us that. We can see
That
it.
is the job of a play-by-play caster, so you know what? You can't take away from him.
Look, realistically, I would have expected LFO to maybe put up a bit more of an effort in that series, but I think we were all expecting Knights to win that one comfortably 2-0. They got the job done. I don't know really what else to say. It was very expected. Like, everything went to script in that match. It was just a quick 2-0. Knights were better than LFO, as expected. And it was probably, looking at the entire bracket, that was the one. There was a couple, but that was one of the main ones that went to script. There was a couple that went off script. Like, maybe even the next game.
Guys, please save that. Please save.
Do you now
That
see what I have to
injustice.
put up with
To
when
be
I'm
fair, I don't
casting?
even remember.
I have chronic back pain from this season, dude. Chronic. Like, I'm crippled.
Was I wrong? Was I wrong? Was
All right, let's
LFO
actually
expected
talk
to
some
win?
big brain
No,
stuff.
they
All
weren't.
right. So 3 maps, of course, in that matchup: Coastline, Club, Oregon. So heading into that
3?
one, it's best of 3, Zenox. I'm talking
And
about
how
the
many
map
did
veto.
they play?
Getting to it. Shut up. Clubhouse, of course, was the second map, and that was Knight's pick, and we basically locked them in, of course, to win that map. So it did really come down to Coastline. Can LFO win that? If they don't, they're done. They didn't. They got beaten 2-0 in the end. In terms of anything to highlight necessarily between those matches, again, Mims had another good one, played quite well, but unfortunately, he just couldn't do it all in that matchup. I'm just looking at the stats now. Josh, in fact, actually had a really good match
This is
there
amazing,
too.
by the way.
So
Much better than what I said.
jeez, I'm just gonna be quiet. Knights 1-2-0, LFO. They just not good enough. Simple as that.
Were you watching that one, Vinny, heading into the upper bracket? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
was. They were right there. Like, they had it. They were going into overtime, and I'm just gonna, on theme park, I'll just assume they picked defense in overtime. So I think they definitely had what it took to win that map. I don't know how well they would have fared in the other 2, but I definitely think it should have been a 2-1.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna ask if Zenox was watching that match, Manic, not Vinnie.
Wouldn't a fair question, eh?
Hindsight is 2020, guys. Hindsight is 2020.
Look, I don't actually have a whole lot more to say about that series, so I think we can just move on to the banger, which I am going to say was my personal favorite from the whole playoff bracket. Akami LFO was seriously an exciting series. Like, just what could have been for LFO in this game. I tell you what, like, they had match point twice on console.
Wait, hang on. I know
Not
I can
three.
just add something back to the Knights LFO.
Oh, okay. Congrats.
Oh, wait, hang on. Did Liquipedia show you something, did it?
It did. It just refreshed the memory. So going into it, we thought Coastline.
Oh, he's done. He's done.
Who are these clowns?
Well, we can
just ignore Zenox.
Talk about your match. It was probably way more exciting. Anyway.
Yeah, look, it was. I'm gonna quickly just jump through. Theme Park on the first was map 1. LFO came back from a 5-1 deficit. Should have gone to OT. Jack Dad got a really nasty clutch. On the back of some potential fidgetiness, I don't know what you want to call it, from LFO. Probably could have stayed a little bit more passive. Map 2, well, they played really well against Akami. I can't remember the map, but it was great. And then map 3, Consulate, was very exciting. All the way went all the way to overtime. LFO had, like I said, match point twice.
Yep.
2 occasions that they could have really closed it out. And I've got to say, when they're on 6-5 match point, they had a 5 versus 3 man advantage. And Akami still managed to bring that one back. So, yeah, it was a solid series.
I think like I'm gonna rope back your previous comments from before, Vinny, in saying that this is like the difference between an experienced team and a team that is still just finding its footing in Tier 1 R6. Welcome back, mate. It's good to see ya. Before I get into my thoughts, would you like to have your final say?
No. We're all good.
Shout out Liquipedia. I don't know what happened there, but you were out. You were gone. You were like the Roadrunner, man. I saw dust behind you. Okay.
All I'll say is you caught me off guard.
So I do think that this game, again, just reiterating, very, very clear that it was probably one of the best games I've cast in terms of like value in a best of 3. It doesn't get more than that. You know, like going back and forth on maps, you just can't ask for more. And then to go all the way in overtime, it literally just sets up the perfect storyline, and it's gorgeous overall, especially on the back of LFO's season, the fact they were only able to claw back those last 2 maps. But I just think when you look at the game as a whole and you look at Theme Park, you know, we were saying so many times, Raven, they were in the driver's seat pretty much from the get-go in that second half. And we really felt like it was their game to lose. And there was a couple of just small decisions, micro decisions that seemed like it really panned out in favor of Akami. And the same when you go to, like you were saying, map 3. I'm kind of just going to skip over Villa, which was map 2, and just go directly to the third map on Consulate, where like that right there, that shows me the massive difference between a team that has been, you know, really standing in the ANZ region for longer than I've been a part of it, and a team that's just coming in and finding their feet. Because a 3 versus 5 on map point, you're down. That's Akami, by the way, and they bring it back to win the series. Like, absolutely outrageous from them. And I think that you definitely have to take your hat off for Akami. And unfortunately, they get taken down the next game. But regardless, that really highlights for me just the difference in the 2 teams. But it does really give a lot of promising signs for LFO heading into next year anyway.
Yeah, I agree. Vinny, you said you watched this game, right? I'm pretty sure you've got some thoughts on how this ended up playing out.
This is actually what I was saying before. I actually got them mixed up. But
yeah, I realized.
Yeah. Theme Park was like, it can't be understated how big the clutch was from Jack, because like I said before, they were going to defense in overtime. They played 2 defensive rounds. That's LFO, and I can almost guarantee would have won the map, and that Jack probably won the series with that clutch. But yeah, just working on your point, Jack's been playing 1v2 since before I even played Siege, so he's been in that situation so many times, and yeah, he just knew how to get it done.
And
Yeah.
like Jack Daddy overall in the playoffs was just he hit another level from
He
the
did.
first match
Yep.
all the way through until their third, fourth. It was unbelievable to watch
Yep.
Jack Dad, after a season where we really didn't have a lot to highlight on him. And I don't think that's necessarily his fault either. I think that Akami had some interesting matches, but really Jack Daddy, man, he turned something on. He was on another level in playoffs, and that really does excite me, especially when we're going into the major, like literally in a month's time. Those kind of storylines for me are the things that really highlight kind of what the ANZ region can achieve when they're peaking.
Yeah. Oh, look, I totally agree. We said it a lot on broadcast about Jack Dad's performance versus how he was in regular season. I don't necessarily think he had a bad season. It's just a lot more about the role that he's been playing, is that he doesn't really have the spotlight as much as some of his previous roles. Like, I remember, this is going way back, but I remember when I was coaching the team on Darksided, he was playing more like Zofia style roles, or sometimes Sledge, I think. Oh my god, this is almost 2 years ago. But regardless, like, he's moved on to hard breach role. Like, he's generally playing a hard support, doesn't have that spotlight as much, but wow, like, he just stepped it up huge in the playoffs. Probably the first time in a while I think I've actually screamed the full Jack Daddy was when he got that clutch on Theme Park.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was a oh yeah moment. I can't even remember what match was next.
Wildcard Nights?
Blank here. It was a
Wildcard
wildcard, yeah.
Nights.
Wildcard Nights. The boys.
Yeah.
The boys.
Take us away, Snoop Dogg.
Can't even remember it, to be honest. Probably went by pretty quickly. Let's have
It
a
did.
look at my old mate Wikipedia.
It
Yeah,
actually
7-3-7-1.
it actually was one of the quickest series.
I probably,
if not the
I
quickest
think I
series,
genuinely, sorry to butt in. I think I genuinely went to have a shower and like just like mess around for a little bit after the after the Akabi LFO match, and I came back and we were like halfway through Villa, and I was like, oh yeah, this is over, and just chucked it on the second monitor and played some casual or something, grinded the battle pass. Not even gonna lie.
Classic.
Well, I suppose
Say-
we took the reins. Oh,
Can
here
I
we
just
go.
say, fun fact, thanks to Wikipedia for this, old mate. Pittsburgh lost 7-3-7-1. In the very next series, their map wins were 7-3-7-1
Hey.
Hey,
Nice.
something in the numbers there. Yeah.
What
Something
do
about
the
those
numbers mean?
I don't know.
Well, thanks for that play-by-play. Back to you, Raven.
Oh my god. Look, what I was saying earlier is this was the quickest series we had for the playoffs. It was very anticlimactic, and we're still waiting to see whether Consulate is the ultimate bait. But
Can I just
It's not.
ask, since we're speaking about it, Vinny, did you expect more? Like, realistically, did you expect a bit more? Or was it like one of those games, and one of those series, I guess, because it was 2 maps, where you guys maybe played even a little bit better than you usually would?
I mean, Consulate is Consulate. I don't know. Like, from before I was on the team, you just don't take wildcard to Consulate ever. It's just the way it is. That, like, I don't know. I feel like Diesel has the map imprinted somewhere in his brain, and he just knows everything. But you don't take him to Consulate. So, yeah, I don't know about the bait either, but yeah, we'd seen a bit of their Villa before, so I think everything went as expected during that BO3, and yeah, I think they might have been saving themselves for the BO5. I think they knew.
They knew they were in an early grave, hey?
When you were playing them on Consulate, did you think they're hiding strats?
That's just
Raven did.
look, I want to
Don't
buy
take
into
it back.
the story.
Don't take it back.
I'm not. No. Let me finish my point. I want to buy into the story that this is like our ANZ version of Fabian level style bait. You know, he used to love doing it in the old interviews, right? For G2, he would talk about how they were saving something. I can't remember. There was a specific map, right, that G2 didn't play for almost a whole year, and they finally brought it out SI, and everyone was like, "Whoa, they're playing it. This is gonna be terrible." And then it was like the ultimate bait. They're actually super good at it. I don't know. I just want
Maybe
some
Knights
cool
are
like.
saving Consulate for 2021.
That's it, man.
Mate,
That's it.
The long con.
If the Knights play Consulate if they make the major grand final, play Consulate and win it, I will literally retire.
Oh, please, someone clip this, please.
Hey, Vinnie, you only
Yeah.
you don't need to win every map.
Everyone's a
Vinnie, just
Knights
letting you
fan
know.
now. Everyone's a Knights fan. Get rid of this guy's bloke.
Someone get
Hey,
that monkey
You gotta
fist
be
on
careful.
dial.
You almost lost that mustache. So
See, look, when you're the #1 predictor, you can make these calls, right? Because you just
Ah.
know.
Jesus Christ.
Well, speaking of Guzz, I tell you what, I think we're done with this this playoff day. Guzz, you have a special segment that you might want to intro right now.
Oh, I do actually, yeah. All right. I spent the last couple of days scouring Reddit. I mean, this morning at about 1 p.m. when I got out of bed, and
This morning?
That's
I found,
not morning, mate. That
It's
is
morning
not
for me.
morning. It is
Morning.
not morning.
It's morning for me when you're on gamer hours, and had a quick suss of Reddit, and the top video there was some quality content. So let's roll the clip, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Now presenting Guzz's content of the week. Mom, get the camera.
Pretty cool little animation. I really liked it when you said it through. I haven't watched more actually Siege Tales. Have you seen other Siege Tales videos? Guzz?
what?
I actually
What
haven't.
you
No,
reckon?
that was the first one I'd seen. Oh, it was pretty good.
That was a good nap.
Why were you napping,
Oh my
Zenox?
gosh.
Oh, I just
Was the content just too boring for you? Was it?
I thought. I mean, the content was probably fine, but it's just the segment.
Oh, I was gonna say. That's why I fill up on coffee when I cast with Zenox, right? Because I have to actually pay attention to what he's saying, and if I'm not like buzzed up, I'll actually
know
fall
what?
asleep
Step
fast,
one-
which is really bad.
Step
So-
1: don't actually pay attention to what I say, and you'll be fine.
I actually don't. I've actually learned not to, and I've become better for it. So.
Let's move on, shall we? Grand final day. Woo!
Yep.
Yay.
Look, hey, before you say more, do you guys want to see some highlights? Is that something you want to see?
Yeah. Let's
Yeah?
throw
Any
it.
highlights?
All right.
Yes, teacher.
Highlights are coming. We'll be back soon.
It's been a pretty good clear so far. I think that ADS has been burnt as well, and there we go.
So between, I guess, the positioning this time around for Knights versus last time, at the very least, lot two. Hippie style just pushing straight on into cool vibes. Was able to get one. Fortunately, Dino.
Here's the sit down Q of Sage on the diffuser. Swings wide, hits one. Press fire this location. Maybe try to catch Hayward off guard, who picks it really smartly, but Cutie even smarter does.
Juicy. Oh no, Cutie. Oh, what? Impact here. Jack Dad pushing through kitchen. Just had to look to the right. Look to the wrong side. Does get the down, but Dino gives the advantage over to the Knights now with 10 seconds remaining. Juicy does have the diffuser.
Position, but Raven, he deals with it in a 1v1 trade and will just get away by the skin of his
Through. Doesn't found a play yet. See,
If there was one player you want to see still alive for the Knights, it is
a lot of time to burn. He's still got 2 gas canisters in the pocket.
well and truly gone. Juicy on site could look to stick this. Vinnie has taken down his support, and that's the alarm bells for Juicy ringing. Vinnie doubles up, but they've still got to be absolutely ripping heads off of Knights right now, and they will start to go now.
Yeah, but Dino, he's just watching the drop. He can continue to do this. It looks like the Knights are keen to really push this attack quickly here. It's already getting close.
Couldn't imagine they're going to be able to convert this, that's for sure. With Geo, he will find someone there. And Haywood decides not to peek it just yet. Have an answer.
Jesus.
Macaroni and cheese aside, Knights are taking them to dinner.
Not letting Wildcard get too ahead right now. And Hayward. All right, let's go. There was some discussion during that, just so you guys know, as always. And there's a bit of a debate going on about a bit of a play here. Who wants to intro it? Because I'm not.
Zenox wants to. Look how excited he looks.
There's a what?
Do you even know what date it is?
I have no idea.
You know why you're here, mate.
I was looking at my Wikipedia notes. My Wikipedia notes. Are we talking about Pittsburgh Knights versus Akami?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are. It was
Okay.
a specific play with a Montaigne that there is some questionable questions. There's some questioning on whether it was effective or not.
Oh, I thought we were looking at a play, like a clip. No. Well, in terms of the effectiveness of it, Knights played the Montaigne and they won the series, so effective. That's all I'll say on it. I don't know why you would think it wasn't effective. They ended up winning the series quite comfortably too, might I add. But what I'll start off with was we learnt very much a lot of things on day 2 and day 3, and day 3 cemented the fact that Knights should never, ever play Consulate ever again. Ever.
Still a bait.
Potentially, there was a few too many evers in there. Potentially. But we can get to that potentially later. Then after Consulate, Akami thought it was the best of one, and they went home. So that was it. Pittsburgh Knights 7-3, 7-1 on Coastline and Oregon, and the series was over. And it was Oregon was quite embarrassing for Akami as well, might I add, as obviously we saw in the potato of the week, courtesy of Manic there. So the Montaigne was effective. They tried to bring the clash. The clash didn't work.
God, here we go.
And it was 7-1. Knights didn't probably get a warm-up they would have liked for the grand final, unfortunately. But, yeah. The only thing I will say is how much of Consulate was Akami versus, or Knights? Was it Knights just a really terrible Consulate? Or was, Akami really good on Consulate?
It looked like Knights were terrible.
I would say it was a bit of both. I thought Akami actually played all right. I didn't think they did anything outstanding. But the way Knights were setting up at times was confusing even for me. And I don't know anything. So it says it all, really. But what I will say is I thought Coastline and Oregon was just complete stop. And which is a little bit disappointing because I kind of have Akami and Knights around the same level, right? And it was very one-sided after Consulate. It was there was something ridiculous, I think it was 12 out of 13 rounds with Knights across the two maps. Because if we think back to Coastline, Akami won. They were up 3-1 on Coastline. So from Coastline being up 3-1, might have even been 3-0 to be honest. They then lost 14 out of 15 rounds. That's next level. What the hell happened? How does that happen in a lower bracket final? So there's a bit to be taken away from there, I think, going into the next tournaments and such. And for Akami, hopefully they've learned a little bit from those losses.
I think, just very quickly touching on that Coastline game, one thing that I 100% remember, and the series was, I hate to say a resident sleeper, snooze fest, whatever you want to say, but it really, considering how one-sided they both were, I think the one thing that really could have changed a lot, and Raven and I were talking about it when we were watching. We had you boys on mute, unfortunately. Don't know why. It was just happened to be the way. But it was the rush in round 1 from Akami that started the map out, and
that blitz.
If they had have converted that round, I would really worry for the Knights' mental game going into that, because that could have been, after a 7-2 walloping on Consulate. Yeah. For me, that could have really kick-started something for Akami.
Good point you've brought up there, Manic, because that was the one round that Knights had won, and then Akami won the next 3. And so me and Guzz are sitting there the only round they've actually lost out of the 2 maps is because they're idiots and they did that stupid attack, and obviously they're not going to repeat that, surely, which they didn't, obviously. But we're sitting there, we've just seen them win 7-2 Consulate, we've just seen them go up 3-1 on Coastline. The only round they lost was because of that attacking round. How are we meant to know they're about to lose 14 out of 15 rounds? It was a complete and utter turnaround. dropping the ball, however you want to say it, from Okami after they won that third round or fourth round technically on Coastline. So yeah, good point. Good point.
Thank you. That's great analysis from the both of us, sir.
The point I'd love to bring up is you talked about like Knights' strategies on Consulate, right? That baffled you. I was watching that, and I will not get this out of my brain. There was a garage strategy they did where they like were, I guess, innovating with an old mirror strat in public bathroom, and they just were not watching the yellow door with the mirror. So like the attack just comes in through the yellow door, kills Dino, I think it was in piano, ends up flushing out public bathroom. I think we ended up being a flawless round against them. And I don't know. They seriously just looked asleep. Like it totally looked like a completely different Knights team. Like you could have fooled me that it was the same 5 players in that server.
Well, they did fool you because you sat there saying that they're hiding strats. So
that's what makes me think it is, though. Like I just can't believe how poorly their Consulate looked. Like I just don't believe that is number 2 team in
let's
Oceanic
ask someone
region.
let's ask someone with a brain here, and that's Vinnie, of course. Out of everyone, he's got the only brain. Now you would have been definitely watching this series, of course, because as the grand finals, you're eager to see who you're going to be playing, either Knights or Okami. Let's take it back. It's Okami winning the 4th round on Coastline. It's just come up, it's got all those cool animations. 3-1. They've just won 7-2 on Consulate. They're up 3-1 on Coastline. Are you sitting there legitimately thinking you're about to play Okami? Or are you expecting a comeback?
A Coastline's difficult because it is attacker-sided and they attacked first. So like you never count a team out for losing defensive rounds on Coastline, especially if the team, which is strange because Knights are quite aggressive, but they weren't really playing aggressive on their defenses, which they needed to do. So no, we didn't really count them out until right at the end, and obviously they turned it around and ended up winning the next 2 maps. So surprising,
but in the way that Knights they came back 14 out of 15 rounds, was that surprising?
Even that, no. From personal experience, we played them in the playoffs when I was on Noble, when I was on Sinister, and we took the first map in a BO3 against them, and then won the first 4 rounds, I think, and then ended up losing the series. So no, from personal experience, I know exactly how that feels.
You're having flashbacks to Nam, Vinnie.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Oh, that is rough.
Well, you've just made me look like an absolute idiot because I'm going about 14 out of 15 round losses, and Vinny's like, yeah, no, that's normal. What are you on about?
You can't give Knights an inch. Knights will take that and run with it. Once they get momentum, they're a very scary team.
I'll stand up for you a little bit, Zenox. I would say the amount of rounds that Okami did lose on Oregon, I was very surprised about, because Okami had proved that they were a pretty good Oregon team. And so even if the Knights were rolling and they're really
I wasn't
good at Oregon
surprised on Oregon because of the way that the game was being played, and me and Guzz were bringing up a lot of valid points, I think, throughout the broadcast. If you
here we go.
Which you wouldn't have. More so Guzz than me. I'll give him the credits. He's actually becoming a very valid color commentator. But the Montaigne play was certainly something that Okami just couldn't deal with, like at all, literally at all. If you want to go more into it, Guzz.
Yeah, I think I just want to take a step back. I didn't really get a chance to butt in before, but what I will say is that from the offset, I said it in the map veto that this was going to go to the 3rd map. I didn't necessarily expect Consulate or Coastline to be as one-sided as they were in the end. You don't often see 7-3s or 7-1s between teams of similar caliber, but I wouldn't say it was unsurprising that these teams did win their map pick. So heading to Oregon was probably going to happen in my timeline. That said, though, when you look at the results of these teams on this map, they're a little bit mixed. When you look at the results of these teams head-to-head on this map in the regular season, it was 8-7. So I was expecting this one to be super, super close. Sure, you could make the assumption that the Knights were coming off a really strong Coastline, but Coastline and Oregon are literally complete opposites in the way they play. So I don't think it would have mattered too much unless Okami were in a really bad mental state by that stage. So to see them get rolled in that fashion was honestly quite surprising. And again, it's not just the Monty that necessarily won them a lot of those rounds, but it felt like Okami just had no answer to it, and it was just compounding a lot of the issues that they were having in these rounds. And then when they did try and counter it, maybe they're getting a little bit frustrated, a little bit over eager. Like we saw that Ippy style play, for example, didn't need to go for that, and they probably would have won the round if you hadn't have died there. And they were just a couple of rounds here and there where just things weren't going their way, and in the end, the Knights were just crushing them in terms of the amount of pressure they were able to apply. And Akami had no look in. It was already, what, 6-1, I think, at halftime, or 5-1 at halftime, or whatever the scoreline was, 5-1 at halftime. And by that stage, when you're heading on the defense, the Knights would have known from there that they'd won it.
Yeah.
So it would have taken a monumental choke, which is what I said on broadcast, and they pulled through.
Little segue here, but I just want Vinny's thoughts on Oregon, because obviously it's new to the map pool for Oceanic Nationals. It took I think 2 weeks until we saw it, 3 weeks, I think maybe. But what are your thoughts on Oregon? Obviously, from the outside perspective, it does seem that basement is kind of difficult to take as the attacking team. As sort of, I guess, teams figure it out, maybe that win rate percentage might drop. But how have you seen the map, I guess, and the sites in particular?
Yeah, the maps. I've enjoyed playing the map. It's got a good mix of structured play and like giving individuals the ability to make plays outside of the team. I don't think any of the sites in particular are that hard to attack. I think defender and attacker sided on the map is pretty much governed by what the bans are going to be in terms of ops, as it is on most maps, but I think on Oregon especially, attacking that map with less hard breach or without a Thatcher, or forces teams to use different avenues. So it could be Carly or Maverick or something like that.
You just very quickly, like you touched on, bans and how that can play an effect in pretty much any map, no matter really what we're looking at there. But I gotta ask you, because from what it looked like, Akami were hard sticking the Ying in nearly every game in the playoffs. Like, do you think that was as effective as what they potentially thought it was?
Not really. The Jaeger ban was a very conscious effort from them. I think, like, as a double-edged kind of, we want to ban Jaeger to get it out of the hands of teams like Knights and LFO who are pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
And kind of force them off their game, something they probably haven't practiced. But at the same time, I think forcing the Ying wasn't the right idea. I think in turn, honestly, I don't think they didn't look as practiced with it as they probably should have been if they were going to force it for that many maps. And Ying is very much a double-edged character in that there were a few rounds where the whole attacking team was blind except for the Ying.
Yes.
And at that stage, you're basically throwing away the round. So
I will never forget there was a round on Oregon where the Ying had come in through like the blue extension and just like flash sight.
Becca.
Yes, Becca was trying to go deep to get the picks and he just runs into a wall. It's like, oh
and
no.
I'm pretty sure they lost the round.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that is. I totally agree with you about Ying too. Like that, it is a double-edged sword. Like if you are, so I guess it's not even fully about proficiency, but if you're not careful with those Candelas, like you will totally flash your teammates, and that can just undo everything that you're trying to do. So it's a bit risky. But I'm surprised that it's taken this long for teams to pick more Ying though, because I actually think Ying could be really effective for a lot of reasons. If not anything, as well as like utility clear, like ADS clearing, for example. If you place those right, the cluster flashes will clear 1-2 ADSs at a go. So, yeah, it was good to see more Ying play. I actually really liked seeing more Ying play, to be honest. I know probably as players, it's not necessarily the greatest operator to play against, but...
Hey, who remembers first weekend of Six Masters when Ying had 4 Candelas for that first play day, or first couple play days? was that fun, Vinny, to play, or...?
The only thing I remember like really abusing it was Ferox, and they loved it.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Villa and Clubhouse defenses against a Ying when they banned. I think they were banning. I can't remember if they were banning Jaeger or Mai, but dealing with it was so hard. Until we were just like, oh wait, there's a character called Warden, and I can just sit in the Candela and just kill everybody. That works.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of Warden, were you guys one of the teams that were picking Warden a bit over the playoffs? I can't remember if it was you guys.
We never really had to. I don't think the teams were bringing Ying against us, which was good for us. But a lot of the teams weren't bringing Warden against Ying, which was really strange to watch, considering she has smokes as well as Ace. A lot of teams were bringing Ace and Ying together, so you'd think 4 smokes and Candela's Warden would be a must pick, but a lot of teams weren't, which was strange.
Yeah, he did get picked a little bit though.
Doesn't get played enough.
Yeah.
Have him unlocked, is that what you just said, guys?
Yeah, that's unlocked.
Maybe. Alright, well look, I think it's time to get to the final game of the playoffs, which of course is the grand final. Wildcard did take it 3-0. One of those was the default win, so I only had to win it in 2 maps. Map 1.
Yeah, we casted more maps than you.
Yeah, you did.
on that
You
day.
actually did. You actually did. Look, map 1 though, it almost went to overtime. Vinny, you yourself actually stopped it from happening because I think it was 6-4, and then you got like a 2v4 or something, which we'll actually be seeing very soon in a special segment. But regardless, did you guys start to really feel some pressure in map 1? Did you feel like that the comeback was on and that you were potentially facing overtime?
It's like the same deal as what I said before with Coastline. We were winning our attacks pretty confidently as well, but it's attacking on Coastline, and when you go over to the defense, it's a completely different game. You got to start playing very aggressive and just look for picks wherever you can. Otherwise, teams will just swarm you, and that's what they did. Knights attacked really well, clearing on our hookah rooms. I know they've seen it, like we ran a lot of default stuff that they would have seen before, and they just cleared us really well. And the pressure was starting to build, but even during those moments, we still felt pretty in control. Clubhouse was a different story, but Coastline.
Yeah. And like I think beautiful thing about having you on is we get to bombard you with questions and we get to get your insight on this. But like I asked Silex and Silex kind of said that you guys had a read on the Knights, but like I haven't seen a hell of a lot in the year and a half I've been casting, which is the rush on the first rounds. And you guys went balls to the wall in kitchen on round 1 of Coastline. Now, obviously, like you guys are going to premeditate that and you're going to know what you're doing. But like, what's going through your head at that point to start a best of 5 grand final with a rush? Like, is that like, are you guys just saying like we're just going to take the fight to them? Like, what is going through your head at that stage?
It's a bit of that. It's a bit of asserting dominance on the very first round, making sure they know. But no, we knew. Well, it was premeditated before the game started. But against any team, we're always looking to rush on Coastline if it's possible. It's one of those maps where you can just work the site really easily, especially if teams aren't careful. A site like Kitchen, where I think they reoed 3 of the Kanto walls in Pantry, which meant that there was only 2 avenues to get back into the site. So we just abused that and just jumped in.
I love it.
Yeah,
I do love it. I'm not going to lie. But you were talking about map 2 and Clubhouse was... so like as a commentator, generally when it comes to a grand final or something, you have like a speech that you kind of give at the end of the game, like, as the team's made the winning play. And sorry if I've ruined the spoilers for anyone in the background. Like we do write some stuff down, and I had this long-winded shut up, Zenox. Well, we had this
That's why you didn't do the grand final.
I had this long-winded speech about like, you guys coming through and literally just dominating the entire day. And unfortunately, when it comes to the round that it did for you guys to win, when we've been that deep in the series and you guys were on paper, by the time we got to the second half, you were looking like it was just going to be an utter whitewash and you were going to just slap them out of the server. It is really hard to continue that storyline. And I want to know from your perspective, like, how dangerous is it for a team like Knights to start coming back, even like the one round where things slip up?
Yeah, it's like they're a momentum-based team, and once they get a little whiff of blood in the water, they just take it and they start winning rounds like so easily. It's insane. It was weird that we were losing so many defenses on Clubhouse. They were super aggro early rounds and just literally just worked what they needed to and got plants down, and that's testament to them. They showed some good, not even maturity, but like really good game knowledge in knowing what they needed and just working with that. And they threw some different things at us on their defenses as well, with the CCTV cash hold, which we hadn't seen before, or at least I hadn't on this team. But yeah, it was really good fun to play in.
My little curious question is more so in regards to what many of us on the grand final pre-show panel thought, maybe then what you guys thought into that. The topic was typically around Coastline and how that was sort of a must-win for Knights. Like if Knights are going to get anything and make something of the series, they've got to win Coastline because Clubhouse is so strong. everyone expected Wildcard to do well on Clubhouse. From your own internal discussions and internal thoughts, was obviously Coastline was their map pick. Did you guys maybe think like if they're going to get anything, if they're going to make something of this, it's going to be on Coastline, so we've got to be ultra prepared for it? Or did you just look at both maps at an even manner?
Yeah, you just take each map as it comes. We knew they wanted Coastline, obviously, and they were going to do everything in their power to win their own map pick and probably be more aggressive. And towards the end of the map, I think they were trying to just be different and more aggressive and try put us off our game. But yeah, just containing that aggression and winning the rounds. And then moving over to Clubhouse, yeah, we just mentally reset. Don't worry about the last map. Take each one as a BO1 and just win each map as a.
I guess.
And just
quickly,
yeah, go.
Continue on a little bit from this sort of talk about the mental game. Obviously, you guys, Wildcard, are the only team that can make SI in terms of major points. And I discussed during the pre-show that maybe that could plague your minds a little bit. I mean, clearly it obviously didn't really, but is that a discussion that you and the team had at all leading into this game, or even leading into OCN in general, just how important this would be to sort of set up your campaign in the major?
Yeah, we always, joked around before the thing. Oh, we only need to win really 1-2 games to be top 3. But yeah, coming to the team, it's always been, especially Diesel, just hammering everybody, saying no, we win every tournament. We need to show that we're the most dominant team in the region, and we don't leave anything to be questioned about the way that we play. And really just the SI thing has just fueled us more than anything. We just want to show how good we are and get back to Canada.
I love that mentality. I love that mentality. And just like very quickly, all I was going to do is add very quick context to, backing it up on the Clubhouse. In fact, you guys had 3 flawless rounds on your defense, and 5-1 first half. I think that kind of sets, after what you've just said there as well, I think that kind of sets a tone for what we on the broadcast have been trying to allude to for, God, it feels like over a year now, which is that you guys have that power and capability to do that and to really assert your dominance in that way. And I think that realistically, it always has, but it's really showing in the last 2 seasons in these playoffs, in these bigger moments, if you will.
Yep.
So congrats, I guess that's kind of all
thanks.
I wanted to say. That was all the comment.
But yeah,
No. That was kind of the statement that I would say with
tires.
Yeah, with or without you here. I think that was kind of what I was looking to really make a mark on with a lot of this conversation toward the end of the grand final, because yeah, it's what we expected, but at the same time, you guys still have to follow through. And I guess I can ask a question now, is that pressure, is that target on your back something that you talk about?
No, never. It's always just being focused on the goal. The pressure, more than anything, is always from ourselves, just to be better every scrim and every game. I think Diesel's tweet was, you have to hate losing more than you love winning. Very much the mentality around the team.
That's a great tweet. Good banger. I have one direct question for you, actually, Vinny. This is the best performing team that you've actually been a part of now. How did that factor into your feelings playing in this grand final, knowing that you're the newest to the roster, you've not really been in this position before, right? So some players, for example, might start to think, if we lose, maybe they'll think it's me. Did that kind of thing factor in at all with you, I guess, throughout the season, but particularly in playoffs?
Not really. I knew I had big shoes to fill when I joined the team. Ethan, such a great player and such a role model, I guess, for the other guys in the team. And going into the grand final, the pressure's all the same in that the pressure we put on ourselves to win. I don't think it would have even ever factored. I don't know. The weekend's a bit of a blur at the moment, so I don't really remember. But yeah, we've always said lose and win as a team, and that's how we're going to continue to play.
Yeah. Look, I guess the matches were just too quick, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, lovely. Well, look, we come to the time that someone on the panel likes to consider as the best part of the show. So I'll just let him take the floor.
It is the best show.
I'm just gonna go make a
Best
cup of tea.
segment.
I'll be back.
No, that's all right. By the time you come back, I'll probably just about be wrapping up my spiel. So it's the best segment in the world, basically, on any sports or even esports show, right? It's the most loved. It got voted the 2020 Best Segment Award worldwide. Okay, it's the Zenox Sexy Play of the Week, and again, it's not technically.
Play it now, Raven. Play it. Just play it. Play it.
Yeah, just play it. Just
Play
shut
it.
him up. Just play it. Just click the button.
It's a sexy play from the playoffs, and as Manic said, power, capability, but in this case also sex appeal. Play the clip.
It's time for Zenox's Sexy Play of the Week. Ooh, now that play was sexy.
On. Juicy on site. Could look to stick this. Vinny has taken down his support, and that's the alarm bells for Juicy. Ringing, Vinny doubles up, but they're still going to be cautious here. Oh my god! Vinny is absolutely ripping heads off of Knights right now. And that will be 4 kills in quick succession to close out the map for Wildcard. They're now 2-0 up in the series.
I mean, as you can see, just pinpoint perfection, even including some of the style points, being able to just trace along the player.
Look,
yeah,
keep
you
it
could add
together,
that to
mate.
the potato of the week. I don't know.
Yeah, you literally beat me to it. That was so close to being the potato of the week. You have no idea. I'm sitting
What
there
I-
and I'm like,
What I will say is that along with the absolute raw aim mechanics and the skill, it was also in the heat of the moment. It was like, what, 6-4? It was a clutch, map winning performance there from Vinny. It just so happened he was on the show. I promise. Didn't do it just because he's here. Love you, Vinny. Yeah, no, 100%. Maybe not quite played the season, unfortunately, mate, but play of the playoffs. Well done.
Yeah. Look,
Yeah.
I think something that does make that play really good is the context, right? Is that the Knights had been
That's why I picked it.
surging. Yeah, the Knights had been surging on that comeback. They were really tunneling towards the overtime. And even in that round, I think, they had a 4 versus 2 man advantage at the start of that sequence of plays. They were about to play it. It would have been end of round for the Knights, and it would have been 6-5. But yeah, Vinny hits those nutty shots, and then that's the map won. So I think that was like really important in the context and just nuts in general.
Thank you, Raven.
Oh yeah, look, no problem, Zenox. You performed very well. But you did mention player of the season actually, and we have decided on a player of the season. I don't know. Does somebody else want to intro player of the season?
I mean, look, I'm happy to take this one as well, guys. This is
Go.
essentially the Zenox play of the season.
No,
would
it's
have been.
not. Hey, no, it's not.
All right,
Take that
it's
back.
the reload play of the
Thank
season.
you.
It's all of us except for Guzz, because he didn't even look at the channel.
it's because he wasn't awake, dude. He wasn't awake.
He probably doesn't even know what it is. So
I actually don't.
this is the play of the season. As I said, it would have been Zenox Sexy Play of the Week. Unfortunately, it was not on the podcast that week, but roll the clip, Raven. Oda and Sushi cannot deal with Vast. They're going to waste so much time. Nice little peek from Vast, and Sushi is eliminated. Oda from below, then one through the door. Vast gets a second on the Knights, going for the third, and we'll get that triple kill from Rafters. Vast is insane. 6-0-1, and that's probably the round one. There's the quad. There's the ace from Vast. Flawless. And Elevate have just single-handedly been saved by Vast.
Oh my god, Vast.
What do you
How
think,
do you play?
Guzz?
Can we check Vast Moss files? Yeah, some red boxes are going on there. But no, great 1v5. No, well, 5k, it wasn't a 1v5, but yeah, it was pretty neat. And actually, what that clip doesn't show is what I believe really set up that play, which was the fact that Vast, he was playing the Kaid and using the electro claws actually to electrify the wall between the rafters and CCTV. It was double reinforced. Normally we see a rotate there, but for whatever reason, Vast said, hey, let's reinforce this and electrify it, which meant that he couldn't be cleared from the breach and everyone was forced basically to filter in towards Garage. Sure, you can make the argument that Ferox threw it a little bit, but all their shots were pretty clean. So definitely worthy of the play of the season, I think.
Look, yeah, I also think that just in the wedge jam position that is in Garage on the rafters, it's not easy to constantly be popping up and down, staying in just those like small zones that you're not actually exposed. So I thought that was just the context of the play, the fact he was 1 HP for 3 or 4 of those kills as well.
Yeah.
Just
And
crazy
can I
that he
just
was able to pull it off.
That he probably made it look easier than it actually was, right? If I was in that situation, I probably would have been dead.
You'd be looking up at the ceiling. That's what you'd be doing, or you'd be looking down at the rafters.
Exactly. So I think he made that look a little bit easier than it actually was. Yes, there will be people who say, "Oh, Ferox just ran in like headless chickens," but ultimately he had to get the job done, and there was some pretty nutty aim lock there as well. So good skills overall, and as it was pointed out, low HP, reinforced walls, everything about it I thought was just sublime.
That's it.
I think the very next round, I think he died, by the way, but that's okay.
Doesn't matter. I think they won the map, didn't they? I think
They
did they?
did.
They did win
They
that,
smacked
yes.
that map in. It was like 7-2 or something.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, at
Excellent.
least it's not Vinnie losing a 1v3 clutch to close out the game on Clubhouse, eh?
Oh, gee.
Don't
It's
know.
probably-
We're meant to win that one.
It's alright, mate. I'd never have even been there, so don't worry about it.
So on the flip side of playoffs, of course, was we saw 2 teams go down into the relegation zone. And that's what we're going to be talking about now is, I mean, Oceanic Nationals as a season is done, but there are still some relegation matches to be played. Those 2 teams are not quite safe yet for 2021. They're going to be playing against 2 teams from the Open Qualifiers, which is going to be on November 7th and 8th. So
I'll be
for
participating.
I've
Yeah.
no doubt.
We're actually going to try and get a
given
caster stack going, not even joking.
the skill that you have played yourself up to can have. I am very eagerly awaiting the Zenox debut.
I've already got-
Format.
Do you want to
Wait,
join our
listen.
team, Zenox?
Yes.
On the
Do it.
bench? We need a bench warmer,
Roast.
so that's why I'll put you down as bench.
The
We can
roast.
sub you in if someone breaks a wrist or something.
As long as he's not our analyst, I'm happy.
What I was gonna say is, if you guys are actually interested in playing and you haven't already signed up, go to Rainbow Six ANZ on socials. There is a link attached to the tweet with this big picture that you can't miss. That's where you'll be able to sign up for the weekend. Vinny, I'd love to know, have you guys had much involvement with teams that are potentially going to be signing up to this? Do you have any insight into who might be there to challenge teams like Ferox and Rhythm?
I think the only team that we've practiced against that is competing is Rufflecopter. So I'll shout out Rufflecopter and the boys. They're going pretty hard, and I think they're actually a very good chance of making it through. They're a team made of almost all ex Pro League players, so I think they're definitely the best chance that I can see at the moment. I'm not too sure about all the other teams. Obviously, it's open qual, so there'll be plenty of teams that haven't been seen before, but it'll be interesting.
Yep.
Open quals, they're always fun, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they're going to be full of
Just want to cast
surprises.
it. We've got to get some meme casts going, surely.
Oh,
I think
please.
maybe some other teams potentially to watch would be maybe PC 419. I know they've been going okay in LPL. Bizarre Gaming, I think, is still going around. I think they've made some roster changes, so they're all over 18. Don't know.
Stop looking at your earlier tweet where you got other people to give you information, Guzz.
See, this is big brain stuff, right? Outside of that, Exto might come to mind, but again, it's difficult to see just how the open calls will play out. I believe they're best of ones in the upper bracket or something. I'm not sure if that'll change, but yeah, it's difficult to gauge how they're going to go against one another. If they actually do progress to the open calls and make it to the final 2, then they need to actually be good enough to take down Rhythm or Ferox. It's not like they just it's not auto relegations or promotions. So
Yeah.
do they have what it takes really to take down those teams? I'm not too convinced, but
Yeah.
maybe they'll show us the goods in the open calls.
I'd probably say not, honestly. And the reason I say that is because of how insane Ferox and Rhythm really played throughout. Like, they had a really good season. And I do want to give the credit where credit is due, because they would have both put in a lot of hard work coming off the back of last season. And actually, this is something that maybe Vinnie can give us a little bit of his thoughts on, because both of these teams, both Rhythm and Ferox, took you to overtime. Ferox obviously on Clubhouse, which that was incredibly close. What are your thoughts on those two teams and how this has happened? Because, I mean, relegation, it's always tough to talk about, but I think particularly this season, it has been rougher than ever to determine who really should be sitting at the bottom. I mean, it's pretty mental.
Yeah, coming into the season, we knew that every team was going to be competitive, and not to count any team out. Honestly, after the Ferox game, and when they beat Akami, I honestly thought they were going to finish top 4. I thought they were definitely a strong team that we had to really worry about. Obviously, they kind of teetered out towards the end, but I still think they're a strong team, and I think they will get through relegations. And I do think Rhythm's the same. They've been working really hard. I've been talking to the boys a bit behind the scenes, and yeah, they're all working really hard to prepare for this. And obviously they had some new people coming in this season with like Bouncing and stuff, and he's shown that he's definitely capable of playing at this level. And I think when they start gelling more together, it'll be I don't know, a good test for them in open quals, but I think they'll make it.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't think either Ferox or Rhythm will not make it back into Oceanic Nationals. But that being said, I have not seen, to be completely honest with you, many, if any, of the teams that are probably going to sign up to the open calls. Haven't really seen them in like the high pressure situations in a competitive format. So there's always surprises, right? I mean, to talk about surprises and this situation before, LFO came in through open qualifiers to Six Masters way back at the middle of this year, whenever that was, April, May. And look at them now.
5 years ago.
They it feels like 5 years ago, tell you what. But look, they managed to finish top 4 now, and they almost finished top 4 in Six Masters as well. So open qual teams, like, it's not necessarily meaning they're the lowest of the lowest. There can really be some surprises in there.
I think that also is a warning signal to both Rhythm and Ferox going into this, that like it is a really dicey time. I mean, it's, you know, sure, you still get your second chance, if you will, in the relegations, and I do think that that's quite fortunate for both of those teams, as they have had 2 incredible individual seasons. But it's certainly something to highlight, like you're saying with LFO, man. Like, you really don't know what's on the other side, and you don't know what team can perform when it matters. And in an open qualifier that comes in, and then obviously that'll be played separately for those relegation promotion games, but that could really, really be dicey heading into it. I'm sure that will be something that's a lot of people want to keep their eyes on, especially heading into 2021.
Yep, no doubt. Zenox, you got anything to say about relegations, mate?
Really, I think just best of luck. It would be good to see a lot of teams. Always nice to see maybe teams and players as well that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
It means that the grassroots is healthy. You always want to see new players and new teams coming through and improving as well. You want to see teams that played in the last qualifiers and make sure that they come back. That's legitimately what I think sometimes gets missed. A lot of the discussion is, maybe is a team going to replace Ferox or Rhythm, or who's going to make make it into the next Oceanic Nationals, for instance. But even just in these open qualifiers, I'm very keen to just see how many teams actually show up and participate, and hopefully it's a good number. And it all starts from the bottom, man. All of it. It all starts from the bottom, and you can never really forget that, no matter where a game has gotten to. And it's for any esport, really, to be completely honest. So yeah, excited.
Lovely. Look, I think that pretty much sums up the relegations. The actual relegation tournament is going to be on the 21st and 22nd of November, so it's about a month away. Still quite a bit of time for Rhythm and Ferox to prepare in particular, but of course, whichever open quals team gets through, they'll have about 2 weeks to prep for those teams in particular. So make sure you guys keep an eye on Rainbow Six ANZ socials to keep in touch with when that is happening. The streams will be on. Hopefully we do get a lot of the open qualifiers streamed again, keep an eye on Rainbow Six ANZ socials to see what the go is there, because I'm sure we'll put out something. But yeah, look, I think that pretty much brings us to the end of the content of the show, at least. Did any of you guys have any other burning questions that you wanted to ask Vinnie while we have him here? He's a total resource, so milk him for all he's worth.
Don't milk me,
Jesus, please, no. No.
Okay.
Oh, no, this is
Family-friendly
PG. This is, seriously, what is going on? No, I think, I would actually love to hear your thoughts, Vinny, coming into Wildcard. I think it was mentioned before, obviously, you had, you know, like, coming into playoffs, if there was any worries about potentially that looking bad if you guys were to lose or anything like that. But just overall, like, what was it like getting the call up to come to Wildcard, and then what is the transition like from Noble to Wildcard?
So it happened pretty quick, actually. It happened basically over a weekend, where I did a couple of practices with them, and basically they said they were pretty happy because they needed somebody pretty urgent, with Ethan deciding to retire. And the transition was really easy with the guys. I've known them for a little while, even before I joined the team, and you know, they've always been around the scene, and I've been around the scene for a little while. And yeah, in terms of roles, it's been pretty much a straight swap. Obviously, I've been doing some different things on defense, but on attack, it's been almost identical. So in terms of that, it's been fine. And then just gelling with the guys have made me feel very welcomed, and you know, it's just been about kind of learning each other's tendencies and stuff like that now. And I think like we're getting to a stage where we're all really comfortable and we know what we need to do.
Yeah, I guess the only real question I would have would be, obviously just over a month away is the major. What does the next sort of month entail for you? How many rest nights are you getting? How intense is that practice going to be? Obviously you're with us tonight, so unless you're screaming after us, this is probably going to be a rest night. But how intense is the lead up to that, and how are you feeling heading into it? Because again, you guys have to win it to get enough points for SI, which is obviously the biggest event of the year.
Yeah, so as a team, we decided this week was going to be a rest week and just kind of reset. The Oceanic season and the playoffs have been pretty condensed, so we've played a lot of Siege in a 2 to 3 month period, and you know, this is the first break I think we've had since I've joined the team, so it'll be good to reset and really just you know, take your mind off the game. But in a week's time, we go back to the way it was, which is practicing basically every night and really getting ready for this tournament since it's such high stakes. Yeah, we treat it as anything else.
I would love to just chuck out like a bit of a hypothetical question here. Let's say that you were in a league competing against the APAC North teams, for example. It's a bit hard to gauge, but like, where roughly do you guys feel like you could slot in within a league of those teams right now? Like, where would you realistically see yourself in the broad APAC system? Where would you see yourselves placing?
Yeah, like it is pretty difficult. Like we practice against North APAC teams a fair bit, and obviously that's on ping, and Fnatic's currently feeling how that feels. But I'd say top 4 pretty confidently. I think we're definitely up there, and I think we can compete with those teams. Obviously, logistics wise, that's not possible, but you know, I do think we are top 4 APAC, if not maybe top 6.
Yep, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
There is also a request question in chat here. Can you ask Vinny how he feels being on the same team as Emo, considering he used to watch Emo on YouTube even before he played the game? Is it a fangirl moment?
So Fake is asking that because I've spoken about it before. Like I remember before I even played Siege, I used to come into school with a few of my mates and be like, "Oh, Emo's posted a new video," so we'd all watch together, and then yeah, it's so awesome to be able to kind of leech off his experience since he's played the game for such a long time, and he's been so talented this whole time, and yeah, being on a team with him is exactly what you'd expect. Like, he just does these insane plays every round, and he's always, you know, doing his own thing and just getting kills everywhere, so it's good fun to be a part of.
No doubt. Cool.
Zenox,
Right.
surely you've got a question here.
No, I don't actually have a question. But I will say thank you for coming on the show. It's very much appreciated. And then, I mean, I actually don't know if Raven's going to kick you off, but I'm just going to say, since I don't have a question, I think it's awesome to have you on. And I think for the future, if, if the reload is a thing for a while longer, I think it's really good to have insight into the players and what they're thinking, and a little bit more insight into the teams as well. Makes our job easier and better as well. Relaying it to the public, so we're spewing less crap. That's always a good thing. And at the end of the day, everyone's got the same common goal, which is they want to see Siege doing good and improving and getting better. And I think that by you doing these little things like coming on the reload, it just helps. It just helps, and it's very much appreciated. And I gotta say, very much enjoyed doing this episode and asking you questions and getting your insight, and it was very, very insightful. So thank you. I don't have any question to ask you though, because I think for the most part, over the last 2 hours, we've asked a lot from you already. I won't ask any more.
Interrogation session.
Actually, one last question. I'll ask you one. Who's your favorite operator?
Chunker.
New Chunker?
Yeah, new or old?
Or old.
I haven't tried him yet, but I reckon it's gonna be the new one.
Yeah, that's filthy.
Why?
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I think he's going to be interesting addition to Siege play. But yeah, look, I guess we'll continue towards the end of the show here. So again, thanks for coming on, Vinnie. We really appreciate it. It's been really good having you on. Congrats again as well on the victory for Oceanic Nationals, your personal first championship, as well as just another feather in the cap for WILDCARD. Speaking of course, if people want to keep in touch with you and the stuff you do, where is the best place to do that?
Twitter is VINCERE, I think it's there, and I'm streaming at Twitch more often now, but it is the same, VINCERE.
That keeps it nice and easy.
Awesome.
Well, thanks again, Vinnie, for coming on. We aren't done just yet, guys, though. We're going to have a quick ad break, and then when we come back, we'll announce the giveaway winner, and we'll be sending the show off for a little while. So, see you guys in a minute.
Cara, você não tá entendendo. Isso é hoje, aqui. A gente tem que ir lá.
It's a heartbeat, a pulse, a distinct vibration. It's a surge, a rush, the raw of a nation. It's nothing you could have predicted, but everything you believed in. It's nothing you expected, but everything you have achieved. It's nothing you could have trained for, yet everything you would have wanted. It's bigger than you could have imagined, yet everything you always needed. It's everything you achieved, everything you cared about. It's everything you accomplished, everything you cheered for. It's in every strategy planned, in every inch you gained. It's more than gaming. It's more than just support. It's sharing.
Sitting in the center here, coastline in open area. But they all know he gets taken down. So quick from the defense. Through there, they're both on the side. He's gonna run the corner, finds one kill. The second one goes down.
Share every moment. Share every action. Share every emotion. Share every struggle. Share every success. Every triumph. Yeah, share it with your friend, your family, your teammates, your people, your country. Share the unforgettable.
Whoa, all the cameras have disappeared all of a sudden. Hang on a second. There we go.
So
Doing, Raven.
I
That's
conveniently
so cursed.
just covered the fact that Zenox could not make it back from the toilet in time. But
The toilet? No, I was just casually walking Vince out the door, as a gracious host does. Okay.
Oh,
He's been
jeez.
exposed.
Well, first things first, I'm gonna get stuck into this giveaway. So if you have entered in the giveaway, fingers crossed that it is you. I am gonna put it out there
Me.
because I can see some past winners. If you have won already, I'm going to re-roll. You don't get extra. Right.
Come on.
Sad
lucky
Gaming
seven.
Turtle. Now I actually think Sad Gaming
Yeah.
Turtle potentially has one before.
Oh no!
Lol.
I guess you could call him a sad gaming turtle.
Potentially
Well,
that was
wouldn't it
way
be a
back.
happy gaming turtle because they've won?
Well,
but he's already won,
gonna
so he
miss
can't win
out.
again.
You see?
Maybe not.
Yeah, but they-
Maybe not. It might have been Late Night Siege. But anyway, I will check, and if it's not the case, I will re-roll in my spare time, and I will contact a new winner. But
Right, Raven has lots
otherwise,
of spare time, so
congrats. Well, when I say spare time, I mean work time. You know, like tomorrow during the day.
Work.
Oh god, here we go. Mister, I'm gonna get up in the morning at 1 p.m.
Snap.
Unbelievable. Anyway, guys, this is the end of the reload for episode 6, and it is the end of the reload for the season because, of course, Oceanic Nationals is finished. So before we send it off, is there any final stuff that you guys would like to say, share with people?
Well, obviously, if it goes without saying, we are useless without players. So thank you to them for playing the game and giving us something to talk about, giving us jobs. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. Obviously, the people tune in to watch them play, not to listen to us. So it's a big congrats to the players for putting on a good season. Again, congratulations to WILDCARD. In terms of the reload, I've had an absolute blast. This has just been so much fun over the last few weeks, months, putting this on, and hopefully we can see it again in the future, bigger, better than ever, which includes, of course, the return of the Zenox Sexy Play of the Week, which what can I say? What can I say? The people demand what they want, okay? And obviously to everyone for tuning in, watching, not just the reload, but Late Night Siege and Oceanic Nationals and all the streams that the players put on, just consuming as much Siege content as they humanly can. You guys are the real MVPs. Much love.
Yeah. Echo the same statement, really. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Of course, players, admins, Ubi. I don't think some people realize just how many people work on these projects and these events. Even outside of LANs, there's teams of dozens of people that work on production and planning these events, etc. So a massive thank you to everyone. A massive thank you to you boys as well. Probably been one of my most enjoyable seasons working Siege. It's been a lot of fun, and despite, you know, being a little bit of a shitty year in some respects, I think we've made up for it at least how we could in the online portion. And hopefully 2021, the return of the LAN, return of Aljadas. I just want to cast the LAN. I just want to put it out there. Cast the bloody LAN. Just one would be great. But yeah, it's been a good year. Hopefully Reload comes back, and we'll see you all for Relegations and OCN beyond that, and maybe something else soon. TM.
There's always the big soon TM, guys. Big soon TM.
Always is.
Manic, you got anything else you're gonna say, or are we good?
No, look, thanks. I mean, obviously, I think you guys have thanked everyone, but from my personal note, this will be a personal note. This has been by far the most enjoyable broadcast I've ever been a part of in esports. I've been commentating for 3 years now, so I think that is a testament to, you know, the three of you, as well as everyone behind the scene that works on this. As Guzz was kind of mentioning there, it does really, the whole thing comes together on a part of so many different people. And I think we're incredibly lucky in the Siege community to have the support that we do in Australia. And I think that from our side of things, it couldn't be better for us, honestly. And I think that we just want to give the best that we can. And so I think that, you know, it really is just a beautiful way to cap off the year and the season, having the playoffs and relegations done. So that's all I've really got to say. I'm keen for the reload to come back so I can banter with Zenox and Guzz again.
Oh, what about Raven?
No, Raven's too serious.
That's a constant.
Bro, he's the esports specialist. What do you want me to do? What, you want me to lose my? You want me to lose my job? You want me to lose my job? Like,
Don't worry.
Come on, man.
Guys already said there's like 11 others.
Well, on that note, but no, look, it has been great fun doing the show. The banter has been really good, so I think you guys have nailed it on the head with all your thank yous. I will say, to promo all you guys, our Twitter handles have been here all night, so if you want to keep up with any of us, in particular these funny three guys, you should definitely follow them on Twitter. See, Manic is already just chuffed with excitement. On top of that, I think something else that's been in your face all season that I do want to quickly talk about is as well our sponsors that we're really thankful for. In particular, I think Livin has been a fantastic sponsor we've had on for all of Oceanic Nationals. We have been repping their merch all season and all series of the Reload. Of course, it is being repped quite heavily right now by these guys. I'm not wearing my shirt tonight, but they're a great organization and highly encourage that you do suss out their message because it is a really good one and support them as much as possible. Their merch is very cool, so check out the shop. And then also a big thanks to Snowball for their coverage because some of the articles that were pumped out were absolutely incredible. Yeah, good insight, all that jazz. But look, on that note, that does bring us to the end. So thanks again to everybody for supporting us, for tuning in. Late Night Siege is continuing on Friday night, so make sure you tune in for that. And for all the other action, make sure you are following Rainbow Six ANZ on socials. You'll get all the updates for all the upcoming matches, series, everything. So if you're not following that, well, you're probably missing out. Thanks for everybody tuning in again, and we'll see you guys next time.
Stay safe.